Hi, my name is Kim and I'm an introvert that travels the world whilst being on a tight budget, and today we're going to be looking at ways that you can still travel whilst we're in lockdown. And I don't mean physically travelling. Don't leave your house unless you have to. I mean ways that we can travel or have the illusion of travelling while staying at home. So if you're like myself, quite an avid traveller, times like this can be quite hard, and what I've done is combined a little list of things that we could do to make this time that we're going through stuck at home a little bit easier. So ways that we can look forward to travelling, or ways that we can come up with sort of new ways of feeling like we've travelled without leaving the house. These are some things that I do to make myself feel better. So let's get into the first one. Travel media. So consuming travel media, things such as YouTube videos, Instagram pages, documentaries, books, travel programs, looking at things like that to get us excited to travel. Talking about documentaries, I'll be putting a link in the description for the best travel documentaries on Netflix. What consuming travel media can do is kind of keep you more in the loop of what's happening in the travel world. By not consuming travel media, when we go back to traveling again, we may be a little bit behind on what's going on, but by continuing to keep up, so following Instagrams of maybe companies and individuals who travel quite a lot, or looking at documentaries, we might be able to find new places that we want to travel once this is all over. It's also really important to support travel content creators at this time, because we are going through a bit of a slump when it comes to engagement through our content. So if you're more interested in that side of things, I'll put an iCard up this side for the video that I did on Monday, which talks more in depth about what's happening to the content creator travel industry at the moment. Too long didn't read part is they need your support. So if you're interested, that's a good way to engage in travel content for yourself and for your own learning, but also helping other people as well. Virtual tours. So if you're interested in experiencing a new location but don't want to watch videos about it, a lot of attractions now are doing anything from webcams to a full out VR experience of their attraction. You can experience new places and new locations without having to leave your home, and potentially not having the editing that goes into some videos, because these places, some of them you can watch webcams at real time, and in travel videos sometimes you have like fancy editing and music and soundtracks that can make a place look better or worse than it is. But with a webcam you are seeing it as it is, or with a VR experience it is what it is. There's no editing. Visiting places virtually has more of a benefit than just stopping the spread of viruses. What I mean is, some places are fragile, they have fragile ecosystems, or the exhibits that they're showing are historically ancient and fragile. Whereas if you're happy to experience this through a computer, it could protect these fragile sort of systems that they have, or fragile exhibits. And also it cuts down on emissions, because you're not traveling to the place, you're experiencing it through your computer. VR and these sort of virtual tours are also really good for people with disabilities or people who are housebound, because they can experience places where they never could have travelled before, but they can still go to the place, which I think is really good. So beyond it being a benefit to us at the moment who can't leave, so we can experience new places without having to leave our home, it also helps people who beyond this can't leave their home experience new places too. So planning future travel. One way that you can keep your mind off not being able to travel now is to make travel plans for the future. And you don't even have to book these travel plans, it's just sort of essentially like a game almost. What I mean by this is you can go on a few different websites, but two examples that I have are, you can go onto Google Earth and there's a little dice icon in the corner and you press that, it says I'm feeling lucky, and it takes you to places all around the world at random. So one thing I like doing is pressing the dice button. It takes you to a random place in the world, and then you've got to try and get to that place. So essentially booking a holiday to that place the cheapest way you can. Then you look at like how much accommodation is, how much it'd be to get from like the airport to your accommodation, what things there are to do there. Essentially make an itinerary of what you would do there and how you'd get there and things to do and how much it is. So then essentially when this is all over, you could, in theory, book to go there. You've done all the work of researching to go there, just haven't booked it, so you could book it and go there. Another way to do this is to use websites such as Skyscanner or Kayak to choose where you're going. Essentially, I prefer using Kayak, so I know that a lot of people like Skyscanner as well. They're both quite similar in how they get used, but like I said, I prefer Kayak. So using the Kayak website, you put in where you want to go from, so your departure airport, and then where you put in where you're going to, you can put anywhere. So it basically generates pricings for places within a certain sort of time frame, depending on what you've put in, all around the world. And what I do with a lot of my budget holidays, so the videos that you've seen of me going to Madrid and to Venice have been done this way. I essentially look what places are the cheapest to fly to, and then I make a holiday from that. So what you can do is you can go, right, I want to fly somewhere in November, I want the flights to be less than 50 quid. You put it into Kayak and it gives you a map of all the places that you could go for less than 50 quid. Choose one of those places and then make a holiday. And again, once this is all over, put it in a notebook or in a Word document, and you could potentially book this holiday once you're done. Once we're done, it's done. The virus is gone. The good thing about doing this as well is you can get a rough idea of how much is going to be to go on these travels and these little trips, and you may end up finding somewhere new that you never thought that you would want to go before, but actually after researching it really want to go visit. Like the same happened to me with Venice. I went there because the flights were cheap and I fell in love with the place. Venice is amazing, and if I'd never sort of taken that plunge to just go, well, that'll do, that's the cheapest place, I would never have experienced Venice. So it's a good thing to do beyond being stuck at home as well. So when we can actually travel, it's a good way to travel anyway. So after all the research that you've been doing, you've now read books, watched documentaries, you've used Kayak or Skyscanner to have a look at new places that you'd want to travel to. Make yourself a bucket list. Write down all the places that you've seen during your research or before your research that you want to go visit. Basically, a bucket list is like a list of things that you want to do before you die. And it sounds a little bit grim, but at the same time, it can be really inspiring for some people to do. So you have basically like, I want to go to these places and experience these things, and without doing the research, I guess, prior, you maybe possibly wouldn't have ever known that you'd want to go there. So a few things on my bucket list is I want to go to Iceland quite desperately. As long as we can travel in November though, I get to go in November. Woo. I want to go to Japan and New York, and the good thing, I guess, is I'm quite sort of flexible with going places as well. There are places where I'd like to go, like I really want to go to Germany to experience Germany, but I'm not overly fussy where in Germany I go. I just want to go to Germany like quite desperately as well. Again, there are places where I never would have thought I'd want to go until I've been there. So whereas you can use this sort of bucket list as a sort of list of things you want to do, but also be open-minded to go in other places too, because what I said about Venice, I would never have gone there as part of a bucket list, but it is amazing. If you're making your bucket list after this, put Venice on there. Recommend. So what I've been doing recently, because I've been missing Greece a lot, is making recipes of Greek dishes that I enjoy when I'm in Greece at home, because I want to go to Greece. desperately, and beyond the culture, the heritage, the people that are there, the one thing that I miss, and the weather and the beautiful beaches and everything, beyond all that, one thing that I miss is the food. I'm quite a sort of foodie at heart. I like eating. A lot of places that I've been, one of the things that I enjoy the most is the food. So what you can do is essentially recreate dishes from your favourite places or new places and experience them in your house. My favourite website to use for this is the BBC Good Food website. I'll put a link in the description down below. But they've essentially got like a landing page where it sort of cuts up places or cuts up the recipes by locations. So you can go, oh, I fancy Moroccan food today, and it should have like a little category that you can click, and it'll take you through to like all of the recipes of that region, which I think is really cool as well. And the fun thing as well is you don't just have to stick to places that you've been. You can go to sort of new places in your home through using the food recipes that they have through the website. Learn a new language and practice it through video chat with your friends. So one of the things that happens when you go abroad, obviously there's like a language barrier. I guess part of the fun of being abroad is trying to get what you want to say across to other people, but not being able to use the language which they speak. I know sometimes it can be quite frustrating, but sometimes it can be quite fun. And if you use websites such as Duolingo, you can learn a new language and then try and practice it with your friends, and then you can try and figure out what you're trying to talk about, and then when you kind of start traveling again, you've got this new skill that you can take with you to a new place. Explore your local area. In the UK, we're allowed to go out once a day to exercise, and a lot of people may know places abroad, but they don't know what is actually in their own sort of backyard or their own sort of area. So a fun thing to do is, if you want to explore new places, is to actually just go ahead and explore where you live. Go on a long walk and see what there are around where you live. So where I live is quite rural, so there's a lot of forests to explore around here. And I know that's not necessarily the same for people who live most of urbanly. But what I used to do when I was younger, we had a dog, and I used to let the dog off the lead because he was a good boy. And I used to let him dart off into the forest, and I basically used to follow him. So we used to end up on like massive walks of just walking randomly through the forest, and I didn't know where I was going to end up because I was essentially following him through the forest, so we could end up anywhere. The good thing now is, from those adventures that I went on with my dog when I was younger, I know of like little sort of secret places in the forest that I can go where I know that nobody's going to be there. And these are essentially places that you may be able to find yourself by doing something similar if you've got a dog, or you could do something like walk 200 steps and then turn, and then walk 200 steps and then turn, and sort of, you know, just turn random ways and just walk essentially. And if you live in a city, another thing you might be able to do, because you'll be exploring the streets then, is you can like tell yourself that you're going to walk down the street, turn left, that's left, walk down the street, turn left, walk down the street, turn left, walk down the street, turn right. So you end up on like a sort of a wiggly route all around the city, possibly walking down like lanes and alleys that you've never seen before. So for the future of travel, a lot of places suffer from over-tourism, and some of these ways, especially the sort of the VR and the webcam ones, are ways that we can essentially help alleviate pressure that a lot of places have on them. And ways that we can sort of be more sustainable in our travel in the future, because we've seen the environment kind of react in a positive way to us not traveling so much, and anything that we can do to try and help that continue beyond the lockdown is obviously going to be a positive. And having all these sort of places that we can access through our computer is only going to be a benefit, because we can experience places and things that we possibly could never have experienced before due to it being, you know, maybe old or fragile, or in a fragile ecosystem, or overpopulated or over tourismed. We can experience those places just by going on our computer. As good as this is as like a sort of temporary help for now, I honestly, myself personally, cannot wait to get back out into the world and start exploring again. There are so many places that I want to see and visit and experience, and as good as it is being able to do all of this now and experience things on the computer and go explore the local area, ultimately I want to go see the world. So and I'm assuming, considering you're watching travel content, a lot of you feel the same. But these tips that I've shown you are ways that have sort of stopped me from going slowly mad from not being able to travel at the moment. Having holidays to look forward to in the future, or having a look at new places and watching things online and reading books are ways that I've taken to sort of cope with not being able to go to new places at the moment. The furthest I've been in the last month has been Iceland, and I don't mean the country, I mean the supermarket. And as much as I love my local supermarket, it's not a different country. If you want to see more videos to do with things that you can do whilst we're off during the coronavirus, so ways that we can support the travel industry, I'll put that video here. And ways that you can help support creators who are in the travel industry, I'll put that video here. But I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again. Enjoy your life. Ta-da!